This is the story that has dominated the headlines since this morning, because in the last 12 to 18 hours, what has unfolded in Sudan is an all-out civil war. Explosions have rocked the Sudanese capital, Khartoum, and many other parts of the northern African nation. Armored vehicles and fighter jets have now been deployed in the capital. Sudan's army and also a paramilitary force called the Rapid Support Force are fighting each other on the streets of Khartoum and other major cities across Sudan. Our next report takes a look as to what is unfolding in Sudan as we speak.
Gunfire, blasts and jets dropping bombs. That's how Sudan's capital looks like. While on one hand there are paramilitary forces, on the other there is the Sudanese army. Eyewitness videos from Khartoum show men opening fire on a street as people take cover. Cannon and armored vehicles are deployed on the streets. Heavy weapon fire was heard near the headquarters of both the army and Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces. The paramilitary force claims to have taken control of the presidential palace and Khartoum International Airport, as smoke can be seen from aeroplanes parked on the tarmac. Another dramatic video shows passengers holding on to their breath, hoping to survive the mayhem. The paramilitary says that one of its camps in the south of Khartoum was attacked. The army claims its headquarters came under fire. Given the chaos on the streets, WION cannot independently verify these claims. The Sudanese Air Force is now targeting the RSF and has urged civilians to stay indoors. The country in northeast Africa has been under army rule since a coup in 2021. Ever since, a sovereign council is ruling the country. The vice president is from RSF, while an army general is the head of the council. There were efforts to merge the RSF into the army, but it failed, and now the fault lines have clearly led to this fresh round of clashes. Clearly, the power struggles and military coups have once again dimmed hopes of Sudan's return to civilian rule. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
All right, so that's just a glimpse of what's been unfolding in Sudan since this morning. And to give us more perspective in terms of what's actually unfolding in the North African nation, we're being joined by Michael Atit, who is a journalist. He's joining us live from Khartoum. Now, Mr. Atit, this is a rather an extraordinary turn of events. We were looking at what is unfolding in Sudan, and there were negotiations between the army, the paramilitary, and also the civilian factions to try and move Sudan towards a civilian democratic form of governance. But what's unfolded in the last 12 to 18 hours indicates that Sudan has now descended into an all-out civil war where the Sudanese National Army and this paramilitary called the RSF are now having a go at each other.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It is unfortunate, even though the situation were expected by many commentators and other analysts in the region, but this power wrangle and power struggle has been going on for quite long. The difference is deepened and it's rooted deep in the political motivation, because according to the framework agreement signed between the military as a component and the civilian side as another component, it stipulates clearly that the Rapid Support Forces and the other armed group that signed the recent Juba peace agreement with the government should be reintegrated into one unified Sudanese army. But the problem comes, on how do we do this process. The process was initiated and a workshop was held also on the security reforms, and the Sudan military suggested a period of 2 years for the reintegration process to take place. But then the Rapid Support Forces, on the other hand, saying no, the 2 years period is very few, very little. They need at least 10 years for for them to be reintegrated into one unified Sudanese army. So that is the beginning of the differences. And besides also, they also try to see who is going to control the army, or who is going to control, to be the commander of the army during the transitional period.
That, of course, is what is the crux of the entire problem. The question that a lot of people are asking is, who is now in charge of Sudan? Because there are claims and counterclaims that are coming out of Khartoum. It's now being reported that the RSF is now in control of the presidential palace, besides the airport in Khartoum and also airports in other parts of Sudan, while the Sudanese National Army, we are given to understand, has now started to head back at the paramilitary forces using its air force. What is it that is unfolding on the streets of Khartoum and in other parts of Sudan at this moment?
Okay, it is difficult to confirm whether who is controlling where, because there is a restriction on movement. It's only the military and the armed groups that are allowed to move on the streets. In the southern part of Khartoum, where I am located, it's a bit people are moving, but in the downtown it is very difficult to confirm who controls the airport, who controls the presidential palace. We have seen several statements and counter statements this morning or this afternoon from both the military and the rapid support forces. Each one of them is claiming to be controlling, to be in charge of the military headquarters and the presidential palace, including the airport as well. But what I understand is that the headquarters of the rapid support forces has been also shown on a video that has been bombed by the Sudan armed forces through the jet. And we have also seen several videos on the social media, showing Sudan armed forces capturing individuals and troops from the rapid support forces.
Absolutely.
So as I speak, the situation is tense, and unpredictable. Gunfire could still be heard within the downtown. Movements are restricted, and everybody is indoors. And we don't know how the situation is coming in the coming hours.
Absolutely, indeed, Mr. Atit. I do appreciate the fact as to how difficult it is to get information at this moment in Sudan. I understand the fact that you're locked up in your house, because that is what has been advised for all civilians, to in fact stay indoors at this moment when an all-out civil war is raging in Sudan. But my final question to you is this. For people who are watching what is unfolding in Sudan from outside of the country, how is it possible that a paramilitary force can actually take on the Sudanese National Army? How is it that the paramilitary force which is fighting the National Army in Sudan has become so powerful within the country?
To answer that question, I need to take maybe you and our viewers into the context of it is Sudan armed forces that initiated this paramilitary force with a target as an insurgency group to fight for itself in Darfur, to fight the rebel groups in Darfur in early 2000. And after they are done with Darfur, they became very powerful. They have resources, they have international relations, they have people in the region supporting them, and slowly they became very powerful. And as the revolution started against the former president Omar al-Bashir, he now tried to use his power and overthrow his boss, and became part of the transitional period, into 2019. But then the process also took a long time for them to identify and to allow them to be observed or reintegrated into one Sudan armed forces. So it's very complicated kind of situation. But yes, you are right. The paramilitary rapid support forces is quite very strong and has a lot of resources, and that is why they also try to show power and show that they are capable even to rule Sudan.
Absolutely indeed, Mr. Atit. Thank you very much indeed for joining us from Khartoum and getting us all those details there. We do appreciate it, and do stay safe there.
Thank you so much. You're welcome.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.